yesterday was a logistical nightmare, but we got back. We're the airport. If I walked out front right now, you could see the airport. So we're in
Okay.
good striking distance to be able to just get our flights tomorrow. We built in. Usually, I prefer to build in that one day after you
Yeah.
finish,
Yeah.
just in case because of what happened. So we our last day on trail, it's just been a blur. Yesterday, we woke up at 3 a.m. to try to get it early in because we just wanted to spend all day on the beach, just relaxing in the sun, swimming in something that's not swamp. So we got up early and we walked through Pensacola Beach, and it was like really quiet, like extremely quiet.
Wow.
And we were like, okay, it's just another small town along the Florida Trail. And we got the news that we were going to have to switch our schedule because the bridge was shut down and we weren't going to be able to camp. The last bus ran yesterday from Pensacola Beach back to Pensacola. So we're like, okay, we're going to have to go touch the terminus and we're not going to be able to hang out. We're going to have to run back 9 miles and catch the bus. By the time we got back to Pensacola Beach, it was like Disney World. Like the people that were out, it blew our minds. So we just hung out at the bus stop and it was just all spring breakers, partiers. And we got some interesting questions of why there are two guys with packs just in the middle of what I'm assuming was spring break. So it was interesting.
Wow. All right, man. So Florida Trail done.
Florida Trail done.
Check.
Yes, sir. Check mark that box. We started joking about yo-yoing it in an extreme joke mentality. We're not going to yo-yo it, but Florida Trail, check mark done.
Yeah, I saw the beginning of that. I haven't watched all your videos on the Florida Trail yet, but the beginning looks like you're just walking through a swamp for ever, it seemed.
That's not just the beginning. That's
the whole thing.
So not as consistently, like that Big Cypress Swamp in the beginning was, when I say consistently, like you weren't coming out of knee-high water for about 15 miles. You were in knee-high water, just all swamp. But after that, it continuously had knee-high pockets for an hour or two. And then the only time you were out of the swamp was when the Florida Trail routed you onto a dirt road, like a FS road. Yeah. So you would walk that FS road and then you would see the sign and you're like, okay, I'm going back into the swamp. It was just wet constantly.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, I don't like wet. I'm a wimp when it comes to, when it's raining for days or I got to walk in water for way too long. It kind of spoils my mood.
My capacity for the kind of suck factor of wet has certainly gone up a lot since last year. Yeah. When we did the GDT, because being wet, it's a huge bummer. But on the GDT, every time we were wet, we were like fighting for not to get hypothermic. So ever since that time, even if we're swamp stepping or whatever it may be, it's a bummer. But not having to fight for each footstep in the sense of breaking down and your body just shutting down completely, its capacity has gone up to embrace the wetness. It was rough. And on the GDT, one, we started super early, but we're comfortable with snow travel. But then two, we just got, again, extremely unlucky. The weather system, a pocket of really downpouring rain followed us the entire GDT. Yeah, and again, we were talking to locals and they're like, yeah, it's not usually like this. I mean, Jasper National Park, it flooded so much, it knocked out bridges of that park system. And like, if it's rain, that's fine. Like rain is fine. But with the temperature drops of really cold weather, it was one of the harder trails. So the capacity of withstanding regular rain, it's a bummer, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's not a lot of great trail up there, is it?
In the Canadian Rockies, I think without the snowpack, it would be better trail. But we still had so much snowpack that I would say out of the entire GDT of trail that we could see that was single track that we walked on that wasn't under snow or water or what may have you, 30%. The rest of the time was snow travel. It was a lot of snow travel. We followed grizzly prints up the passes because they knew the easiest route up because they're animals that live up in those mountains. Yeah. So it It was an adventure.
Wow, pretty cool, man. Okay, so you run a YouTube site called Hiking America. So what's obviously you're hiking trails in America, but is it bigger than that? Is there something? Tell me a story of that, of this whole concept idea, I guess.
I wish it was. I wish I could say. I wish I could say there was a bigger goal behind it. But my YouTube channel, I created it way back in 2010 for actually old hockey videos because I used to play hockey,
Okay.
and it was a combination of like the teams I played for, like half of them, like Wolf, Raid, 37, NP, like my hockey numbers. So it was like a really out there YouTube channel for what I became passionate about, which was hiking. So it was just something that I changed it one year. I'm like, oh, Hiking America. So not a great story behind it, not a big meaning. I mean, with all the hiking we do now, maybe one day it will have the sense of, I doubt you could always hike full America, but maybe one day it'll have a bigger, each year it gets bigger meaning, I guess, because we hike more of America, but not all of America.
So are you still going to do this 5 years from now? You're going to run out of trail? You're going to do you see that far ahead?
Yeah. So my partner, I have a hiking partner and girlfriend, life partner at this point, Magpie. So we actually have it seems like there's more trails than years that we have left to do. So we have the next 5 years kind of loosely packed with trails.
Oh, cool.
You can kind of build in around them. So we might have an extra month here, extra month there. I don't think that there's going to be another year that's this level. So like this year, I'll be spending about 8 months on trail, and Magpie will be spending about 5 to 6 of those months with me on trail. So don't see another year spending that long on trail systems. Maybe 2 months here, 3 months here, 4 months, what may have you. But we do have a lot of more trails than years left at this point.
So you obviously have not taken the traditional route that maybe our parents would have outlined for us, right? So
no, definitely not.
So how'd that come about?
It would be hard to directly answer that question. It seems like it just grew each year, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I could go back to before I was a hiker. I was a big hockey player, so I thought hockey was going to be my life.
Right.
So it seems with my personality, when I am passionate about something, I put my entire self into it. I'm all in. Yeah. I put all my thought process, all my commitment, discipline, everything I have. It makes it more of it seems like I tend to go after activities that are a lifestyle more so than just an activity or a hobby.
Yeah.
So when I lost hockey, I was still going to school. It was a big thing for me. That was you could even compare it to my identity at that point. Like I was a hockey player. I knew who I was. When I lost that, I had about 3-4 years of going to college after that I still went to school. I still had a good time. I still was learning. I still was growing, but it always felt like there was something missing. Like I didn't have that activity that I threw myself completely into. So when I got out of school, I knew I was going to have to go into the working field, go into the career field. And that kind of began. And I had that for about a year of working in construction, and it wasn't where my life path really wanted to go. It made me take a step back and be like, there's something there. So that kind of prompted me I was hearing about the Appalachian Trail. Like a lot of people hear about that as their first hike.
Right.
And I'd done some section hikes out there and seen that I liked section hikes, but section hikes didn't really grab me as fully as through hiking. These section hikes, you got to meet through hikers, you got to meet section hikers, you got to touch the community out there. Yeah. But I still wasn't interacting as much with it as a full lifestyle. So once I started the first through hike on the AT, man, honestly, that was it. So I might have gone a little too far back for you, but
no, that's a good intro to. Pretty impressive, right? 2016 Appalachian Trail, 2017 the Pacific Crest, and then the Oregon Coast. 2018 you picked up your Triple Crown, right? Finishing the Continental Divide. I got a friend of mine do that right now. I just interviewed him. He's going to be he's leaving in I think 2 weeks.
Does he have a trail name by chance?
fish tank.
I'm gonna have to check him out. And he's going for the triple, or is this his first trail?
This is his. So he did the Pacific Crest in 2018 and 2019.
Okay.
And it was a big story there why he had to split it up, but he's going to try to do the whole CDT this year.
Oh, he's in for such a trip. It's such an awesome trail.
Well, I live in Colorado, and so I told him,
lucky.
I said, you're not going to make it through Colorado with us meeting up somewhere, or maybe I'll spend a day in Australia. So we agreed to do that. But yeah,
y'all got a beautiful playground out there. Just the mountains for the backyard. I mean, you can't ask for more.
2019, you picked up the Pinhoti, the Pacific Northwest, the Ice Age, Arizona Trail. Last year, Not Just Trace, Great Divide, Vancouver Island, and Sea to Sky, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. So that's, I think I calculated that out to be around 15,000 miles, something like that.
Honestly, I haven't. I honestly don't keep a tally of that. I just plan the next trail system, and then it goes from there. It sounds about right. It sounds about right.
that fits perfectly with what you're all about. You know, you're not collecting badges. You're not counting miles. This is your life. You know, so pretty cool.
Yeah, it's if it's your life, you're just enjoying.
Yeah,
you're enjoying life.
Yeah,
you're enjoying life.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you finished the Florida Trail this year, and you have a fastest known time. What next, right?
The next trail that I'm flying to tomorrow is the Potomac Heritage.
Okay.
And if I registered, I think I could set a speed record on that. I just don't know if I'm going to. Like, again, the registration, FKTs are FKTs. Like, if I do the speed record, I don't know if I'm going to register it. So we'll see. So Potomac Heritage, New England, and then the one that I really would want to register for is the North Country Trail.
Okay.
That one would be cool to register for, because for me it's funny because it's ironic. It's a 5-month journey and you're going for a fastest known time. So like you hear speed record and you're like, oh, how quick did you do it? Speed record of 5 months. So you're here a long time. So that would be fun. The other two, I'm playing around with the idea. We'll see if I actually go about and register for them, but we'll see.
Where did Constantine come from?
Trail name came because first week in Georgia, we started March 24th, and the first week in Georgia was rain every single day. And it was just pouring down rain, just soaking wet, and it was still cool in that time frame in the mountains of northern Georgia. Right. So we had just crossed the border into North Carolina, and we roll into Muskrat Creek Shelter. And the shelter's full up with people, so we had to set up a tent. So we set up our tent, get back to the shelter, and we had duct tape a bottle of hot sauce to our trekking pole because we didn't know how to hike. We didn't know how to hike at that point. It seemed like the right thing to do. We didn't want to carry the hot sauce, but we wanted hot sauce. So seemed like the right thing to do. So we're rolling into the shelter, just shivering uncontrollably, like our body's just being racked with that pre-hypothermia type stuff. And we cook up some ramen and just dump hot sauce into the ramen. And we like to say the first bite, all shake and stop. So somebody gave us the name Icy Hot, and that stuck for about a day. And then a buddy we were hiking with the next day, he's like, that's too much of a mouthful. It's kind of, you got to chew it off too much. It doesn't flow well. So we're hiking up and down those steep up and downs in the beginning of the AT. And as we're going up and down, he's like, you know what? You've ever seen the movie Constantine? Which I still haven't to this day. But he's like, yeah. You ever seen the movie? I'm like, no. He's like, you kind of remind me of the main character. And he's like, half good, half evil, because when my body was still getting used to hiking, I would be cussing every single uphill, and then every single downhill, I'll just be praising everything. So it was like that half good, half evil type thing. And once the trail name sticks, it sticks. So that was kind of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie either, but I know a little bit about the history of Istanbul, which was Constantinople, which was named after Constantine. We lived in Turkey for a couple of years, and so so anyway, I was just wondering if it was connected to that character, and I think it probably is.
I wish it was that cool. I wish it was connected to that type of history. Yeah, but It's not and it's a trail name that's like similar enough to a real name that people sometimes will look at me and think for a second, like you can see in the for a second, well, they're like, what's your trail name? Or if they don't know about trail, you can tell that they're thinking, oh, he doesn't look Russian or something like a popular name in Russian culture. So it's Constantine. Not as cool as cool a backstory as you hope, but it's there.
So, best hike ever so far?
Whew. That's also very hard to compare.
It is.
Like to say you can't compare trails, but since you're asking it directly, I'll try. So the GDT was by far one of the toughest, but also looking back, one of my favorite. Not in the moments favorite, because that broke us down mentally every day, but the grandness and the wilderness experience of that was absolutely epic. But favorite hike, I would be hesitant to say GDT purely because that's completely looking back outside in, not in the moments whatsoever. The moments were brutal. I would honestly say CDT or PNT. Yeah. The Pacific Northwest Trail. That's of course where I met Magpie, and just the terrain was beautiful. I mean, instead of hopping up onto a ridge and continuing to ridge walk it, you would go up a mountain and then down into the next valley, up a mountain, down into the next valley. So you're not going south to north and north to south. You're going east to west. And that was just a really cool experience. We hadn't done a hike like that before. And that area that it goes through is just epically beautiful.
Yeah. Great. Hey, I saw, I think it was, Outside Magazine where you were mentioned in there. Do you know about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
it told a story of you and Magpie a little bit.
Yeah, so I actually reached out to Outside to kind of let them know what this year was about cool. And doing the 11 National Scenic Trails. And we got a response back from one of the editors, and it was about to be Valentine's Day. And he was like, he asked the question, he's like, well, did you and Magpie meet on trail? And I told him, yeah. And he's like, well, I'm thinking of doing a Valentine's Day themed article with y'all. And I'm like, oh, that would be a sweet Valentine's Day gift. So he interviewed both of us, and we kind of gave him both the parts of the story. It looks like he leaned into more of the realm of telling a lot of what Magpie had told him. I guess it's his writing style to pick one of the people and go after that, but it was still really nice to be able to tell part of the love story in another magazine. So yeah, that was really cool. So I started Elevenskys back in 2020. That's when it was officially formed as a business. The idea was there in 2019 and stuff like that. And I pursued that idea and created it in 2020. Like, I'm a workaholic off trail in any respect in any previous year, but with Elevenskys having to do that, I was working 15-hour days of just nonstop. There's always something with a small business. There's always something to do. Yep. And it's just, even if you eat through that list, in that list, there's 100 other things to do. So it's been a journey trying to get that balance again. And it's part of it. So it's nice to be able to combine the passion and work, but that's also combining passion and work. And so right now, moving forward for this next year and at least the few years after this, it is going to be an apparel company, mostly outdoor clothing. We want to build something that will last for a long time. It's not something that's going to need to get repaired. Like, we walked on the CDT, if your buddy hits the Gila tore a lot of inappropriate placed holes in our shorts. So we had to walk into town with a lot of us hanging in the wind, so to say. So it was that was kind of pushed us over the top to really start thinking about it harder. We want something that you can whack through. It's not gonna rip, or something that is built to last.
I've always kind of wondered how. I guess I'm wired differently. I'm probably wired more like my father than maybe I want to be, but it ends up being that way after a while, because you get to a certain age and you're thinking about, okay, so am I going to work till I'm 80 at something I don't want to do, or should I start planning for retirement here? you know.
Yes.
So I went out and got all my certifications, and I'm making stupid money and packing it all away. And I could have done that earlier, I guess, and got out of this thing sooner. But you know, you just never know what life's going to throw at you. So
hindsight's great.
Yeah. So you're probably monetized on YouTube. So is it just a collection of all these little incomes that get you through, or
now it's growing to that point. It's growing to the point that there's enough branches and enough places that it's kind of funneling into one stream. And on trail, you aren't going to spend as much as off trail, and it's kind of the stars have aligned in a lot of good ways. So, and where we live with my partner up in Canada, the house payment is covered every month because we have tenants. So the housing expenses non-existent pretty much. So that's already a huge chunk of change, right? That we don't have to worry about. And then also, like I was saying, I'm a workaholic when I've been off trail. So as Elevenskys started to pick up and all that, I funneled any extra time that I had into it. But I also never really had a lot of extra time. Every year that I've come off a trail system, I have held 2 full-time jobs that I'll work 7 days a week until I get back on a trail system again. And I did a talk at one point that some guy was like, well, is it a revolving door? Like it pushes you back to trail because you just need a break at some point. But it's, that's how my mentality works. Yeah. Like, I guess that's just how I operate. When I throw myself into something, I throw it in fully and I'm going to make it work how I need to. So I've been a workaholic all those years leading up to this. And now it's gotten to the point with Elevenskys that all of that is catching up, as well as Elevenskys and branches in enough places to be able to funnel into sustaining this lifestyle.
Great.
People looking in see out on trail glamour, all of that stuff. Yeah. But like any lifestyle in this world, there's going to be sacrifices that you have to make.
Sure.
And our sacrifices tend to come in that off-season time. That's where, like, even our relationship with Magpie, we love each other. It's a great relationship, but she's gotten on me for working too much. And it's a necessity evil. Like, you have to work to be able to enjoy the lifestyle we want, but there's balance. There's balance in it, and I love it, yeah. One of the biggest things for me on these trail systems is sharing the experiences with people.
Yeah.
I don't do well solo hiking. If you watch the Ice Age trail ones, you see I talk to my camera a lot because nothing else to talk to besides cows, corns, and mosquitoes. So again, my mentality for specific ones, like a specific time frame, I can wrap my head around, like running out a week here or 2 weeks there. But for the big trails, it really, for me, is about the community and the people on it. Yeah. And that's what I really crave and really, really love. So I'm loving that Magpie decided I could convince her to do the NCT.
The reason I go out is actually get away from people.
Yeah. See, everybody has their different preferences there. And we've, I think, so you did the Colorado Trail, correct?
Yeah.
And how long did that take you about?
It was 42 days, I think. But I had to stop for about 4 days just to heal my feet. They were getting beat up pretty bad. So I stayed in Lake City for about 4 days, I think. And then, I would be
curious. As you say, you go out there to get away from people. I'd be curious, after those 42 days on a trail system, were you craving more interaction, or what that look like?
Yeah, 40 days was enough, to be in the wilderness.
Again, it's that balance beam, right?
It is, and I'm heading out to Arizona here at the end of this week. And then, I did from the border up to Vail last year, but my IT band took a bad beating, and my knee was like a balloon. And I couldn't go downhill at all. I was just kind of wimping along like a puppy with 3 legs, But
on the AZT, where you need that knee support because of this loose sand, it's not gonna be good if it's not there.
So we're gonna go from Vail. We're gonna pick up where I left off, and we're gonna just head up to Oracle.
Okay.
just spend a week in the on the trail. Meet a buddy of mine, a local guy here that I hike with a lot, and him and I spent a few hikes where we spent a few days out there, and he knows when I need to be alone. So he understands trail life and trail people, and so he gives me a lot of space, and then I give him. I mean, it works out pretty well.
And I think hikers do understand that. Like when I say I love hiking with people, we're not hiking 30 miles like this close all day.
Yeah.
It's spending those breaks together. It's spending that time in camp together. It's maybe hiking for an hour or two if a nice, interesting conversation is going on, but then you open up the pace and kind of do your own paces. So I think a lot of hikers do understand that. So it's nice. I'm excited. You're gonna love. Well, you've been here to Arizona. It's so beautiful. Yeah, it is the mentality too. I mean, everything's in the outdoors, everything's hiking, but it's all that thought process behind it of where's the enjoyment coming from? Is it coming from outside in, or is it coming from inside out? And I think you'd be hard pressed not to find a hiker that keeps coming back to it because there's something special in it, or it speaks that there's a moment that the community around it, that big part of that pull, the kindness of just not even the other hikers, but the little communities you walk through that literally give that trail that big sense. So yeah, it's you'll be hard pressed to find a hiker that doesn't have a very passionate story about why they hike, and it can be many different reasons, but there's that heart there. There's that heart there. So
with the way the world is now and how crazy people are with each other, we could use a lot more hikers.
We could.
I know maybe that's selfish of me, but I think
beautiful community to be a part of. So I mean, it's for everyone, and it's really beautiful. So
yeah, I think so too.
I actually missed that comfort of being in the woods for the first time I went out west, because you have this feeling of like, not unease would be the right word. You just feel uneasy for the first day or two, and you're like, what is it? Until all of a sudden you have that realization. It's like, oh, it's just so open. But then it turns into love after that. Like I noticed that when I transitioned from the AT to the PCT, it was like, it feels weird, and then you put a word to it, and then you love it.
And I actually kind of miss being out in the woods. Every time I go back to Michigan, it's the smells. It's the sounds. It's being like all enclosed in, and kind of like the forest is giving you a big hug. And
I've used that same terminology. Yeah, I was literally about to say that in a second. It's comforting. It's just comforting being there. I don't know how to put a word on it. There's hard to put a description to it, but that's as good as it's gonna get. The hug from the forest.
I really appreciate you taking time out today to have a little chat.
Thank you, man. It was really fun. I love as you can tell, I love talking hiking and just meeting other hikers everywhere. It's just really nice to chat about it. It feels good because there's that connection always with. No matter what hiker you talk to, it's just there's that instant connection.
We get it.
Yeah. It's really nice. It always puts a smile on my face.
All right, sir. You have a safe trip. Your next few hikes, and I'll keep watching. And maybe at some point here we'll catch up again and maybe do another one of these.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good to me. It sounds good to me.
I appreciate it. David. Take care of yourself. All right, see ya.
You too. Bye.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Constantine. I know I did. He's quite an accomplished guy. Be sure you go check out his YouTube channel, Hiking America. I'll have a link for it down on the bottom. And don't forget to subscribe, because there'll be lots more interviews coming. So appreciate it. Thanks. See ya.